Hello, everybody. I'm going to take care she told me to. I'm Lydia, also known as LM Mann. I'm half of Texas Sisters Press. And CJ Peterson, Wave CJ, is fighting allergies and a cold. So y'all are going to get to listen to me a little bit more than usual today. And today we've got Cindi Flow and Judy Gaudette, and we've got Natrix, who's jumping in with us to celebrate the publication of Cindi and Judy's second book, starring the most beautiful Palomino in Maine. His name is SandyBoy, and so the new book is SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard. So we are super, super excited to be here tonight. So Cindi, why don't you just kick us off?
Wait,
There's more.
But
Hang
wait,
on.
there's more. Bob May says hi.
Hi, Bob May.
To be entered in to the Wheel of Names, all you have to do is comment and make sure that StreamYard has been given permission to use your name. For example, Bob May, who's commenting from YouTube, his name is about to be entered into the Wheel of Names. And then after each person talks, then we will spin it to see who wins.
Yeah, so we're going to have giveaways tonight. We've got books and audio books and all kinds of fun stuff. So, make sure that you comment. And we are going live on YouTube, as CJ said. We're on Facebook. So wherever you're finding us, just make sure you say howdy. Noelle Baker just said hey.
Hey, that's my granddaughter.
Yay! Hi, granddaughter. Hey. Yay! So, all right. So, Cindi, let's talk a little bit about who SandyBoy is.
SandyBoy is the most wonderful horse in the whole wide world. He's my 25-year-old Palomino gelding, and we got together about 5 years ago, and it was just a match made. And we just are enjoying just having a great, great relationship. He's a sweet horse. Everybody in the barn loves SandyBoy, and we're just having a great time with him. And horses have a real way of knowing about how you're feeling, and they have some intuition that sometimes we don't really give them credit for. And so as I really got to know SandyBoy and he got to know me, I said, it's a pretty smart horse. Maybe he has things to share with other people, especially children. And in the world in which we live, there is so much going on, and children are finding themselves in incredible situations, living situations, school situations, illness situations. And SandyBoy, I think, has a real way of helping them go through some of their experiences because of what he's been through. Because he's had a life of a lot of different experiences too. And so that's what really got me started in talking to SandyBoy and saying, what is it that you want to share? And so that's launched the first book, SandyBoy in His First Home, because that's how he came to be with me. And as everybody knows, it's not always easy moving and knowing where you're going and who you're going to be meeting. And so this is a story that he shares with some of his anxieties, but then it turns out to be a beautiful, loving home for him, and he's so happy.
And so, who did the wonderful, magnificent, terrific, gorgeous artwork for your two SandyBoy books?
Well, I tell you what, words are wonderful. Ideas are wonderful, but it takes the talent of a really great artist to put those words into illustrations that really carry the message and pull you into the story and get you to really know who SandyBoy is and to relate to him. And my friend Judy Gaudette does awesome stuff.
Judy, yeah. So Judy, let's throw it to you for a few minutes. Tell us about your adventures being a children's book illustrator, and sort of this has kind of been a new venture for you, hasn't it?
It has, and I have enjoyed every minute of it. And this second book has been really, really fun to do for a number of reasons, because the weather has changed at the farm. Winter is coming. and the cold winds are blowing in, and we have the first flakes of snow that are falling. And this is new to SandyBoy, and he's wondering what the heaven's sakes is going on here. And also new for him is that the barn has been decorated. There are garlands and there are ribbons. There's even a little tree near the door of the barn that has all kinds of apples and carrots hanging from it. And SandyBoy is just absolutely amazed at all of this new stuff that he's experiencing. The other thing that was really fun about this book is that it also brings in some of the wild animals that live around the farm. So I had the great fun of drawing a possum and a fox and the eagle, and of course the turkeys, which we have by the droves here in the woods in Maine. So it was really, really a fun project, and I just enjoyed every bit of it.
Well,
And
one
it's
of the
SandyBoy in a different light.
Yeah, one of the things I really loved, and you can see a little bit of it in the cover picture, is the way that you handled the snow. You've got snowflakes, and it kind of overlays some of the characters and all that. You really gave it that sort of three-dimensional look in the book. It's a fun and beautiful little book. It was fun again doing the layout work and stuff, and going back and forth with you and Cindy on, making sure we had, first of all, that we didn't misspell anything. Because my graphics program does not have spell check, and then making sure everything's laid out on the page like it should be, and it's just so much fun working with you ladies. So,
and Lydia, you did such a great job with both books, and especially in this one with the pages where across from the illustration, tying in and the colors and molding them in and carrying that soft feeling throughout every page was just awesome.
Well, thank you. I had fun, and I'm trying to think. Julie, quick, help me, CJ. Julie's last name, Roth. That did her
G's
book.
Adventures.
Yeah, G's Adventures.
First 50 words.
Yeah, the first 50 words, which are sight words. It's a quick, fun book on how to learn sight words. She had the idea of taking like part of the background image from her existing images and maybe using it for that opposing page. And so I tried some of that with the Blizzard book, and I think it worked out well. So
it did.
Had fun. So, all right, well, Natrix, let's talk a little bit of, let's talk a little bit about you. I mean, let's introduce everybody, and then we'll kind of swing back around and do some more specifics in a minute. But tell us who you are and who Peanutbutter Andjam are.
Okay, so hi, I am Natrix, the author, the creator of the Peanutbutter Andjam series of children's books for ages 3 to 4 and ages 5 to 10. Basically, I started out with the ages 5 to 10. The first story or the first book is Peanutbutter Andjam, A Story of Friendship. And just like the title of Story of Friendship, it's a book about friendship. Actually, most of the themes are about friendship and different just situations. And so when I created the first series, I thought about, I was like, well, why am I just starting with kindergarten? What about before kindergarten? What about getting words and concepts to children prior to kindergarten? So that's why I created the early book, actually the early reader series, the Peanutbutter Andjam early series for emerging literacy readers for ages 3 to 4.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Now you do something unique with your books, though, and this is something.
Well, actually, both of them.
We've talked about this before when I interviewed you before.
Yes.
What is it you do inside your books that's unique that not a lot of people do?
So all of my books have a glossary in them. Every book. So for words that can be looked up with the definitions. And I also meant to tell you too, the way that I've written them, they're kind of like stair step. So each book increases in the number of pages as well as the number of vocabulary words for each book. So depending on what level that your child is reading at, because all children read at different levels. And so you might feel that book 1 might be a little bit too easy. Well, let's start out with book 2. Well, book 2 might be to start with book 3. And the way that they're reading, they are all connected, but at the same time, you don't necessarily have to have the previous book to understand the next book that you currently have or the book that's coming out.
Yeah. So his words that are highlighted in purple are the ones that are in the glossary in the back.
That's awesome.
Colors.
What a great
Right.
idea.
Oh, thank you.
We may start stealing this idea.
I mean, honestly, I think all books should have that. Most definitely.
And also anything that can get kids excited about reading and discovering new words and all that. I was one of these blessed children that I learned to read early. And so for me, words, I just devoured them, Yes. And so, I loved learning new words and new concepts and things.
Yeah, I was doing the Choose Your Own Adventures by first grade. I loved reading.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I was the same.
And funny enough, she and I turned out to be authors. So there you go.
Oh, yeah, I know, right?
So,
no, actually, and I laugh about it because I basically wrote the books the way I was taught on how to read and how to understand, concepts in books. Basically, if I was reading a book and I didn't understand the word, so I went to my parents. I'm like, hey, what does this word mean? So my dad's response would be, go look it up. So back when we used to get the World Book Encyclopedia sessions for encyclopedias and things like that. So I would go right to the encyclopedia and take the word and look it up in the dictionary. And so that's basically how I learned. And then I would look for books with glossaries in them for new words. So again, we don't read just to call out words. We read to add words to our vocabulary so that we can utilize them.
Awesome.
Now, I can't post your website up here because you don't have one yet. You're working on it. How can people find?
Thanks, CJ.
No, because I try to post them on to make sure people get exposure. But my question is, how can people find you online?
So I am on basically all social media platforms. I am on Facebook, Peanutbutter Andjam. I am on Twitter at Peanutbutter Andjam 2017. I am on TikTok at PBJam Tales, TALIS. I am on Instagram, Peanutbutter Andjam 2017. And I also have a link tree as well, which I probably could have sent to you. You probably could have posted that. Would it actually give you links to all those spots? As well as I have a podcast and a YouTube channel. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, CJ, let's while you still have a voice, tell us a little bit about you and what you write. And since you can mention the big kid books, or big people books, but since we're concentrating on kids,
yes, I am a multi age and multi-genre writer. Let's put it that way. I don't like being pigeonholed as one type of writer. I've often talked to some writers who feel that they started writing this genre, so they feel they have to stay in that genre. And I'm like, well, we don't force actors to stay in a certain genre, so why should we force authors to stay in a certain genre? And I love to experiment, so I just go for it. I do have big people books, as I call them, big people books. Are Christian fiction. I tell people they're not your mama's Christian fiction. There's a set called the Team Angels that have to do with basically spiritual warfare on this plane. And those series include the standalone Strength from Within, Grace Restored series, Holy Flame trilogy, and Divine Legacy series, and the newly launched Christmas novella, Christmas Angels. And then my other one that's probably been my bestseller at this point is a Christian fiction sci-fi called the Sands of Time trilogy. Books 1 and 2 are out. Book 3 comes out in January. Now for the stars of the show, Chief and Sarge. I started off as a big people book author, and when Chief and Sarge were pretty much an accident, but it was a happy accident. I collected monkeys, and my husband and I went on a trip to California, and we got Sarge on the base. He had a little USMC kerchief on, and so we decided, okay, we're going to name him Sarge because Super Hubby is what I call him. He was retired. He's a retired Navy senior chief, but he worked with the Marines 20 of his 24 and a half years. So little Sarge was just like the naughty little monkey, always getting into everything. People fell in love with him. It started off not even sure how it happened, but it ended up that everybody wanted to know more about Sarge. So we took Sarge to the bases. We took Sarge to, NAS Jacksonville, NAS Pensacola. We took him to the USS Kidd. We took him all over the place. And then I got to thinking that, he needs a brother to kind of balance him out. So we got Chief, who is a koala. Now, if you know anything about monkeys and you know anything about koalas, they are exact opposites in personality. One is very laid back, tries to be friendly, just kind of goes with the flow, which is Chief, after my super hubby, who's a Navy senior chief. And Sarge, he's a naughty little monkey that gets into everything, and everything should be his way. And that's the pair of them together. It's kind of how I describe it as kind of like Flat Stanley used to be for us older people, where we'd take them different places and take pictures. Only Chief and Sarge can go into all the places that the naughty little kids would love to go into, but they're not allowed to go into. For example, when we were on the USS Kidd, all those little lovely roped off places, Chief and Sarge were able to go in there and is able to take pictures. And so after a while, people are like, well, why don't you write a book? And I'm like, I'm not a children's author. And they're like, no, seriously, you need to write a book. So the first one came cruising. And it has to do with we took them literally on cruise ships in a backpack. My husband took them even down the water slide. There's videos on their Instagram. They have their own social medias: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. They've got them, and people love to get their pictures taken with the little guys. And those go up on their websites. They go up on their social medias. Like I said, people just love them. And so that was the first book, and it actually won for 2021's Best Children's Travel Book. So that's cool.
Great.
And then I also have I'm on a couple podcasts actually, but the one podcast in particular is called The Con Hour. It's all about Comic Cons, and we interviewed a comic artist named Davy Jones. And Davy has his own comic called Charmy's Army. And so I loved his work. He and I both love monkeys, and we're both on the same page. I said, hey, how would you like to come be Chief and Sarge's new illustrator? And he said, sure, why not? So he did an amazing job with the illustrations. We're currently in the lineup to come out, I believe, in November-ish. Lynn?
Before Christmas.
Hopefully
Did I
November.
mention I'm building a house?
Because we need to order them. So hopefully
Before
November.
Christmas.
So we're right after Diane's comes out and Bob May's comes out. And so, the next one's called with him, I'm able to do things a little bit different.
Okay. Make this fast. Come on. This is all about Cindy tonight. Let's go. Come on.
Okay. Never mind then. Go for it.
No, it's Day at the Races. It's a cute, cute book. And it will be coming out before Christmas. CJ is awesome. But her resume keeps getting longer and longer and longer. So please don't be offended, dear sister. But it is Cindy's night. So we want to talk more about SandyBoy and the Christmas Blizzard. So what sort of inspired you for this story, Cindy?
Well, I think with the changing seasons, the first book really looked more at spring and summer, and moving into this, and also wanting to offer something that tied the horse to a more spiritual experience for Christmas. And so tying him into worrying about his friends and wanting children to think about, well, what happens to people who don't have a warm place to stay in the winter? And he was worried about all his little forest friends, but asking, he is the character who speaks to the children. So he's asking them questions. Have you ever been out in a storm? Have you ever worried about people who don't have a place to stay? And moving through the trauma of the blizzard, and then his owner coming into the barn and saving the day in terms of helping him not be so fearful about things. But he was still worried. And he said, well, isn't there anybody that worries about all the creatures? And so over a period of time through the blizzard, he discovers the real meaning of Christmas. And so he looks out at all his little friends after the snow stops, and he sees out in the distance, they're all perched up on the hill looking out at the ocean. And what does he see? The biggest, brightest star you can imagine. And then it dawned on him, and he pricked his little ears forward, and he said, I think I can hear somebody singing out there. So it really opens up the eyes of children. And I was also trying to be aware of some of the issues that we're dealing with culturally. And so when you see the end of the book and you see a manger you don't see a child in it. You just see a radiance coming off of it, so that every child can picture his God in there, in his own race, his own culture. And so I wanted to make sure that it was a more inclusive kind of look at everything. So that's what kind of drew me to that.
Yeah, and I love that throughout both books, you have SandyBoy being compassionate towards others, you know, and also asking questions of the reader, you know.
And it kind of sets the stage, an easier stage for parents or teachers to take those questions and continue the conversation once they finish reading that page or finish reading the book. Because sometimes those questions are kind of hard for people to figure out, how do I approach this with my child?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember in the SandyBoy in his new home, you know, he asks, you know, SandyBoy asks the reader, you know, have you ever moved? Have you ever gone to a new school? You know, blah, blah, blah. So that does open that door for a parent or a teacher or a friend or whoever to talk to a child about that, who's maybe going through that. So anyway, so, well, CJ says that it's giveaway time. So I think we should start with whatever CJ's giving away. CJ, what are you giving away tonight?
No, I think we need to start with you because you haven't talked about yourself yet.
Oh, we haven't talked about me?
Nope.
Well, I'm building a house, so my brain is just totally on that. I am a children's author. I write for middle grade, which is sort of that, you know, 5th, 6th, 7th grade age group. I also write for the little readers. I have some books that are for very early readers, you know, literally learning to count, you know, working on colors, that sort of thing. And then I also have a series, the Ramses and Tut Adventures. Ramses and Tut are magic cats. And the first one came out last year. There's one. There's Ramses and Tut. And the second one was supposed to be out for Christmas, but my illustrator has hit a snag. So we're, you know, life happens. So you just roll with it. So the second Ramses and Tut adventure will be coming soon. So stay tuned. But my first middle grade book is called The Nightmare King, Shadow of Dragons 1. It's first in the series. And last year in 2020, you know, we were all locked in our homes. So I teamed up with a wonderful Broadway actress, Tess Primack. And she did the Audible book for me for The Nightmare King. And she did all the characters and all the voices and the accents and all that. Because there was a big black dragon named Shadow, who's a good guy. Because I like dragons, so of course he's a good guy. And the first thing I said was, Tess, can you do a British accent? Because Shadow's British in my head. I'm sorry. I wrote in British. And she's like, I love accents. So she did a brilliant job with that. And so I guess since it is giveaway time, I will be giving away an Audible book of The Nightmare King. So
awesome.
If you win, I will send you a link.
Awesome. So we'll
do we have a
over.
wheel of names yet?
Oh, yes.
Yay!
Okay, the ones so far, for those who have been joining us a little bit later, in order to be entered into the wheel names, all you have to do is comment. That's it. Easy peasy. So right now, the only ones that have commented are Bob May, Noel Baker, and Emmanuel Galen. I think it's Galan. Autocorrect messed it up. So we're going to see who's going to win Lydia's audio book, The Nightmare King.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, look, it's Bob May.
Bob May!
Congratulations. Yay. Congratulations.
See, we get all sorts of stuff.
And
we already have Bob's email.
Yep, I do. And if Bob doesn't have an Audible account, I can send him a link for a free trial of Audible.
Awesome. So for those who want to be entered into the wheel of names, make sure to comment so that I can get your name down. And again, yes.
Hey, dog. Sorry. Dogs are barking.
I feel your pain.
Don't know, yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm in a 24-foot long RV, so with 4 cats and a dog. So
Sweet.
Yeah, it can get a little loud sometimes. So anyway, so who are we going to do giveaway time for next?
CJ.
CJ? All right, CJ.
CJ. Woohoo.
Alrighty. Well, I will be doing a paperback of Chief and Sarge's Cruising.
Yay.
So let's go for number 2.
Let's go for number 2.
Oh, where'd it go?
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
There it is.
And
We have Noel Baker and Emmanuel Gay. Here we go.
Okay, you got a 50-50 chance.
It looks like Noel.
Noel.
Yeah.
Now, Cindy, do you have Noel's address?
Sure do.
Okay, I'll get it
Okay.
from you later. Congratulations, Noel.
Yay.
All right. Woohoo!
So let's go back to Natrix and yay, Noel.
Hey.
So Natrix,
Got my
what are
clap
you?
this in.
What are you? Yeah, clap yourself in.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be giving away tonight?
So for today, I'll be giving away a personalized copy of Peanutbutter Andjam, Vern the Cat, my early reader, as well as, because it's Halloween, a coloring sheet of Bootsy dressed up as Batman, and wait for it, there's more, a bookmark.
Yay!
Woohoo! Woohoo!
So before we do the
What's wrong with CJ?
today's going like this, but before we do this, I was going to ask Natrix. Natrix, you do your own illustrations, do you not?
I do not.
You do not. Okay, who
No.
does your illustrations?
So this is what I tell everybody. I illustrate with words. So my words paint pictures in your mind. But I have an illustrator, Rosa Maria Garza. She's my illustrator, and she's amazing.
Awesome. Very
Mhm.
cool. Very cool. Well,
The only one left is actually Emmanuel, but we're going to go ahead and just do it so he can see his name with
so you
all
can
of
see
the
his
bright
name.
Yeah.
stuff.
again.
Yes, I can write it down.
just so he can have his name be all pretty and stuff.
Yeah.
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel.
Yay!
Mr.
Come
Galen.
on. See, there it goes.
Yay!
Woohoo.
He has
Very
to have
cool.
his name come up correctly, too.
I will be writing I will personalize this book for you, Emmanuel. Would you like me to put Manuel, or would you like to put Mann? You tell me what you want me to put in there. Let CJ know, and I will personalize it for you.
We'll get her
everything.
done.
I will
Nice,
get it done.
nice.
Oh, Cindy, do you know Emmanuel's?
Sure do.
Okay. Because he
Okay.
said Mimi, so I'm assuming that was you.
Yay! All right, so Cindy,
Yeah.
is there anything else we need to talk about SandyBoy and either the Christmas Blizzard or maybe what's on tap?
Well, I think there's a couple things. One, I'd like people to stay tuned. There will be some Christmas specials that will be announced through Texas Sisters Press and things, so be looking for those. But in the works are some thoughts about a third SandyBoy adventure for the series, and in this one, really looking at the heart of a horse and how horses create friendships irrespective of breed or size or that type of thing. One of his friends is a very big, tall, black Frisian horse who's an immigrant from Holland, because that's where they're bred, and has we talk about some of the things that he has learned and as coming into this country. And so, and also we'll be kind of doing some more geography, looking at the variety of horses that are in this country now, like the Pasofino from Spain, the Lipizan from Germany, but how horses really appreciate one another for their differences, but also learn to love one another. And I think in the times in which we live, we really need more opportunities for children to be able to relate to other situations where they find themselves in, and how does this work? Will somebody really like me because of where I'm from, what my language is, any of those types of things. So want to use horses and pull in the geography to help children understand more about America and what we're trying to be.
I think it's awesome. And, anybody who's been around horses realizes that some of the most unlikely friendships happen between horses, and it's hilarious. You see these race horses sometimes on the track, and there's like a little Shetland pony or something that's stabled with them just because that's his little friend, and it keeps him calm, and he trots out with him, and all that. But then he, when it's time for the horse to go race, he goes races and then comes back. I think we people can learn a few things from horses, and I think that's what Cindi and Judy are communicating to the world.
Well, we're working on it. And
there's something that's different in Texas Sisters Press's book that's not always in the different children's books that we do with the font.
Oh yeah.
Correct. One of the things that where a lot of children fall into the dyslexic spectrum, where they have a difficult time reading because of how they're visualizing the letters and the words. And so we have discovered another author, Diane Vane, brought this to our attention of a font that when the verbs and all the words are printed in that font, it makes it much easier for dyslexic children to be able to read. And so the SandyBoy books, that's the font that's used, is the one for dyslexic.
Yeah, it's awesome. And in fact, Diane, her book will be out. Her next illustrated children's book will be coming out before Christmas. And Judy has just finished the artwork on that one, and it's beautiful. It has arrived at my luxury condo here, my luxury office. And so as soon as I finish the last few pages of layout for Bob May's book, Big Bunny, Little Bunny, which is also coming out before Christmas, it's a story of friendship and accepting each other's differences, because Big Bunny's bigger than all the other bunnies and Little Bunny's littler than all the other bunnies. And so it's a cute book. And then Diane and Judy have worked on a beautiful book called The Song of Peace, which is, again, a message that not only fits with the season, but it just fits with, we as humans is like, let's concentrate on peace and togetherness a little more than arguing with each other. So it's a timely book, and it's a beautiful little book.
And Judy, what were some of the things that you came across when you were doing those illustrations?
Well, this again was a really interesting project to do, because it's all from the point of view of this little boy named Tommy, who's trying desperately to get his message across that it's time for the world to think differently, to look upon what we can do to have peace come to the world. And I just had a wonderful time with him trying to discuss this with his neighbor, who's an elderly lady, and they go on a walk through the park, and they discuss all of these factors of what it would mean to have a better world, a more peaceful world. And of course, the ending is all about how Tommy finally gets his message across, and and a sort of a shout out too to military families, which I think was a very, very kind of a nice context to put this in, because I think it makes it even more meaningful. So I think it was a lovely idea, and I was just very happy to be part of it.
Yeah, Judy, I'm glad you're having a good time, because you've just been work.
It has been a busy autumn. Yes, it has.
Yes, it has been. So Cindi, what are you going to be giving away tonight on the Wheel of Names?
Well, I'm going to be giving away a paperback copy of the first book, SandyBoy and His New Home.
All right. Hey, we got a few new names and some returning names. So
I just went and put them all in there, and I added Carol because she came in later.
yay. All right, here we go. Da, 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 da. And Carol won. Yay! So everybody got a book tonight. That's awesome. Yay!
And I know Carol.
Very cool. That's awesome. So, you know what? We've got a few minutes. I don't want to drag this out, but I also don't want to cut us short because we've got 5 very creative minds right here, or demented ones or something. Anyway, what? Give us a 2-minute speech about what motivates you in writing for the age group that you write for. You know, what's sort of some of your goals with that? Let's just start with Natrix. Go for it. What's when you
ladies first? Let's start with the ladies. I should be the last one to go.
All right, CJ. Oh, she's coughing. And
Inspired me to write.
there we go.
Are you ready? Okay, I'm back. I'm
ready.
back.
Well, 2 things. The big people ones. I wanted books. I was youth leader for 18 years, and I wanted books that could touch teens as well as adults. And some of the adults actually used them to have conversations with teens because of what's in the books. For Chief and Sarge, like I said, that was pure accident. Yeah. So
Yeah, but I think now
that was an accident.
I
But
know, but
people
the
love them of
cruising-
all ages. It's not just for children.
Yeah,
there
but
are
with-
fun facts in the back.
Yeah, there's
for
fun
others
facts in the
too.
back, but the new one, Day at the Races, what's sort of the big motivating overarching theme in that book?
That has to do with siblings anybody who knows siblings that are like close in age, a lot of times they fight over their friends. And so we took a Day of the Races and we converted that and used that particular instance to teach a lesson on friendship.
Very cool. Very cool. So, Cindy, what about you? You've kind of hinted on a few things, but
Well, for me, horses have always been part of my life in one way or another. But I'm just so blessed that where I am now in life to have a horse of my own like SandyBoy, and I just appreciate the qualities that horses have, and they're a magnet for children. And in the times in which we live, I really wanted to find a way where I could help send a message out that children could relate to and could help them through some of their own lifetime experiences. And so pairing the horse with kids and with life just seems to be the right way to go. And so SandyBoy and I are going to continue to try to do that with new ideas as we go along.
very cool. All right, Natrix, you're up.
No, here I go. Basically, honestly, a former educator. So I actually taught I was early childhood, and so I taught phonics and things of that nature. So basically, what inspired me to write my books, I said, hey, you know what? I have stories in my head. I have life experiences. I've seen situations with kids, and sometimes kids need something. I'm not even saying need necessarily to go to per se, but to say, hey, you know what? I've gone through something, but hey, this book can show, maybe I really know how to deal with it, but here, there's something for me to do. And then also parents being able to read to their children. That's why the way the font is, vocabulary and things like that are in there, because a lot of times parents, when I've noticed, they'll get a book and they'll just say, okay, here, read this book. Instead of reading to the children, like I explained to a lot of parents, children learn how to read by mimicking you. You have to show them the importance of it. So I try to
Oh, he froze up.
make fun stories, but engage the parents and engage the kids as well.
Very cool. Very cool. So, Judy, you don't write stories, but you illustrate your stories, these stories that have been coming to you. What are some of the things that you put a lot of heart in your artwork? I can tell.
Well, when I was a child, which now is quite a long time ago, but I do remember, I was very much a visual learner. I always got a lot out of pictures, illustrations, drawings, and I have to say that I'm even that way today, I relate very much to a visual presentation of things. And I think my job or my sphere is to try to take the words of these very clever and talented authors and try to turn that into a visual presentation that supports it, and I hope maybe even enhances it and makes it something that's even more of a pleasure for children or whatever age group is involved can enjoy.
Well, and the neat thing is that Judy has met SandyBoy. So
I have.
So it's
Yes.
really, she's has a little bit of a bond with him, so it helps her, with her illustrations of him, and particularly how she does a wonderful job with his facial expressions.
Yes, she does do a great job with his expressions. Yeah, she really does.
SandyBoy is probably the sweetest horse on the planet, so it's not hard to have a relationship with him. He's a great horse and a very, very good boy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and the other, because I am kind of a crazy cat lady. The nod to the barn cat in the Blizzard book made me smile. So the barn cat actually makes it into the book. So
Right.
well, we're gonna end with SandyBoy. No, sorry, didn't get a camera down to see SandyBoy with Cindy. But just really quickly for me, CJ and I, our mom was a 6th grade teacher. She used to say, I'm a 6th grade teacher and I'm retired and I did it for 29 years and survived. So, she just was always an educator. She literally went to her grave teaching school. And so, even though she'd been retired for 20 some odd years, but she would teach school in her sleep. She would, so I think that sort of seeped over into me and CJ as well, in just wanting kids to be excited about reading, because everybody knows there's the statistics out there, blah, blah, blah. Kids who read, and especially kids who read early, tend to do better in school. I was blessed to be an early reader. So academics, until I hit algebra, academics for me were not that bad.
Algebra.
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 So that tends to go along with the author group. We tend to go, math, help. Anyway, but kids, math is fun. Anyway,
it is, and hold on, and as an author,
fun, and it is a language. And once somebody explained math as a language to me, I was in college. It finally started making some sense. But anyway, but I'd much rather write books about dragons and magic cats and talking dogs and that sort of stuff. So anyway, but that was sort of my big motivating factor. So anyway, so Cindy, any last words for the evening?
Just the power of reading and the power of helping children learn how to navigate their world, I think, is just what we're all about.
Yeah. And I've found that throughout the author community that writes for kids. Authors are the kindest, most giving people, no matter what genre they write for or age group. You get a bunch of authors in a room and it's gonna be fun. And they'll also go out of their way, as Natrix has tonight, to join us to celebrate Cindy's book. It's awesome. So anywho, all right, well, I think we're about ready to wrap things up. I've got 2 steers I need to go feed, and because I am a farm girl now. And CJ is probably just about losing her voice. So we want to celebrate, yay, one more time, this wonderful, wonderful group of authors and artists, and SandyBoy, who's the best horse on the planet.
So really quick,
until Lydia gets her own.
Really quick, the winners were Noelle Baker for Chief and Sarge, Bob May for the audiobook of Nightmare King, Carol Welch, is it Laval?
LaValle.
LaValle for the Sandy Boy in the New Home, and Emmanuel Galen for the paperback of Vern the Cat, and others. So, well, thank you guys for coming, and thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for joining in. Catch us next time we come on. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye bye.